welcome back to another amazing episode of The Sovereign Soul. I have an incredible friend with me today. I was just warning her, not really, I was warning me that I had to be on my best behavior. When we get together, sometimes we laugh too much and we get off topic, and then we start just like, oh, this is beautiful over here. And we've got a job to do today, Miss Rachel, so we've got to keep it together. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Like, I'm emotional. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast because I really feel like there's just so much happening today. They should know we're recording this on a beautiful Tuesday morning. It is Chinese New Year, so we have a beautiful new energy moving through, the fire horse energy. We have a new moon in Aquarius today. We have all kinds of like bells and whistles going off. I don't know, maybe there's just in my head, but like everything is like pew, pew. So we're really got to try and stay grounded, you and I, and get through this conversation because it's such an important one to have. So before I keep tangenting here and going off, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I want you to tell everybody in podcast land who you are and what you get to do every day, because I know it's amazing.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, so hi everyone. I am Rachel Brown, and I am a mental health, energy, and conscious parenting coach and founder of the Shift Method, which is a powerful mind, body, and soul framework. And using that, I support conscious mothers to break generational cycles, to heal deeply, and raise emotionally thriving children without abandoning themselves. It's so important for us as mums to give ourselves time. Society still expects us to be the housewife, be the mum, often hold down a job, do everything, juggle every single plate. And it's too much for our nervous systems to carry. And so my work is very much about helping mums rediscover their power, their truth, who they are beneath the noise, and in doing so, support their children also to step into their own power and shine the light.
Can we just sit and thrive and just like bask in her glow, like if you're on YouTube watching us, you just got to see this woman's energy. It's just like so soothing. I've told her before, she's gone on retreat with me. She will move crowds to get to me. And man, when she does, it's like, oh, it's just this beautiful beacon of love and light. And I'm so excited you're here. I know that this journey has, well, that's exactly what it's been for you. It's been a freaking journey. It's been a journey. I've had the privilege of walking. I would like to say, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, but a pretty big chunk of your transformation, I had the privilege of walking alongside you through, right? And so you have come and I mean, like, I don't know another soul on this, in my awareness, that is moved through what you've moved through, working with what you're working with to get to and to be able to experience what you get to do and experience every day while being a mom, while raising boys, because they're different than girls, wink, wink, hint, hint, and being a partner and things like that. I know that this has definitely been a journey for you, and one I've been proud to watch you walk, but I know I can remember times when you were like holding your breath, stomping your feet, and really ready to just give it to me. And thank God I'm across the pond, but still, like, talk to me, like, go all the way back to where your journey started, and then go into like really what's brought you to this place of feeling so strongly about the work you get to do.
So it has been a journey, as you said. So when I was a little girl, about the age of 12, my mum particularly started to notice that, having been the tallest in the class, I wasn't growing anymore, and the normal kinds of things that girls go through wasn't happening to me. And that set me on a path of 16 years of investigations with the doctors. And they finally discovered when I was about 25 that I had this very rare illness called Cushing's disease, which is where you have a tumour on your pituitary and it causes 10 times too much stress hormone to course through my body. It was life limiting, and they removed the tumour, told me I was cured, but actually nothing worked then. I had absolutely no hormones in my body. But because my blood work came back and everything was in range, for the doctors, that was absolutely fine. And that's really where my journey started, because they looked at the physical symptoms, dealt with that, but I still felt awful. And I wanted some support emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically. And so at that time, I then went and did a holistic therapies diploma because I wanted that support for myself. And it did help. But what happened was that I've been brought up to be someone who follows the path, who did the A levels, who went to university, who did the degree and got a job at the end of it, who had the stability, because that's what I thought was expected of me. And I started off in pharmacy. I have a degree in pharmacy, but after a while, my body just gave up. And so I thought, right, what shall I do? And I'd always wanted to be a teacher, so I went and did a teaching degree. And I absolutely loved it. But then I went into teaching, and again, my body gave up. And because of the illness that I have, we couldn't have children naturally. So I decided then that we would go through, or me and my husband decided we would go through IVF. And we got 2 miracle boys from 3 rounds of IVF. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. I had 7 years off. I lost weight. I just loved spending time with the boys. But then this little voice in my head was like, no, you need to go back to work, Rachel. And so I started back as a teaching assistant, a higher level teaching assistant. But the stress that it caused, trying to sort the boys, make sure my husband knew when to pick them up, do everything else. And again, I just collapsed in a heap. And it was then finally that I was like, okay, my body's actually trying to tell me something here. And that, combined with the pandemic, really sort of set me on a path to initially supporting children to understand their emotions without necessarily having to verbalize them. So I created various monsters and books and cards to support them. But then I sort of expanded. The more that I learned about myself, the more that I realized what was holding me back, what limiting beliefs were. The fact that I'd said to myself I would be that calm, present parent when the boys were little, and then bedtimes arrived and I ended up shouting, and all of these things came together. And I thought, well, actually, it's all well and good supporting the children, but if the parents aren't supported, then it's going to be a bit of a clash. And so I thought I would start from the top down. And my own experience of doing that, of working through my limiting beliefs, of really putting myself first, of learning to come at things with a calm mindset, showed how much impact it had on my boys. And when I compare my children, not to be big-headed, but when I compare them to some people, I'm so proud of them, because they do their own washing, they do some cooking, they show up, they're responsible. And I truly believe it's because I have worked on myself. They can feel my energy, and I want that for every woman, every mother that's on this planet, because life is hard. But if we can do something to make us feel supported, protected, living a life that we want, then all of these mental health issues that are in the news all the time will start to get less and less.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you're so right. I think many women will raise their hand and say they weren't raised to put themselves first. They weren't raised by their parents, by society, by the education system, by the religious spaces. You know what I mean? I think that we weren't raised to put ourselves first out of like protection, because again, if we can make sure that we're taking care of everyone else, we find our value, we find our worth, we find our place in the world. And we got it so freaking backwards. It's so freaking backwards. Yes, we are meant to bring life into this experience, but we are so much more than just that. We're destined for a lot more. And, I know the work you've done, especially on the trauma, that has really kind of created itself. It's very interesting, and we've spoken about this before. Sometimes trauma is an experience people have in a moment of event. Does that make sense? A car crash, the loss of a loved one, the shift of a job, the sudden onset awareness of a disease or of an illness. Yours seemed to spawn itself through the years of having not a lot of clarity and feeling like you weren't being heard and you weren't being seen and you weren't being taken seriously for the way that you were feeling, even though, like you said, everything comes back normal. It's very much what women are experiencing today with perimenopause and the awareness that's going on because of it. Yes, it looks like it's in range, but it doesn't feel at all like it's normal. We don't even know who we are anymore. And so there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had. And I love what you said, because you're so freaking right, that if we will start treating our children like the mirrors that they are to show us where we are navigating life, how we're navigating life, and what we could be doing for ourselves differently, then we're going to start raising consciously aware children that will be able to see these things, just, perimenopause or change when it's ready to occur, and face it differently than how we were raised to face it. Advocating for themselves differently and very respectfully too. We don't have to be defiant when we advocate for ourselves. When we're consciously aware, we aren't the loudest one in the room. We're just consciously aware, and that doesn't resonate with me. And so I'm going to do things differently because I trust that I can do it differently, because I trust that I know exactly what to do differently, and I don't need the outside confirmation or validation like big, 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 boom, 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 right? Because when we raise children that are consciously attuned to how they are feeling, and then we lead them by example as mothers that are consciously tuning into themselves, healing their own traumas, putting their needs before everyone else's. Like you said, everyone around us feeds off that energy, not in a negative way, in a really great way. When I am calm and when my energy system is regulated, it invites the children to feel that way too, right? And I think it's so important, especially right now. You're moving through. Oh, forgive me. I know we spent years and years and years, eons together, and I can never get it right. Your children are going through different types of exams. Like, would they be equivalent to like regions exams in the states?
I'm not sure. So my youngest is 16 and he's doing GCSEs, which when he passes that allows him to go up to sixth form, which is 17 and 18. And my eldest is 18 and he's doing A levels, which allow him to get to university.
Yeah, stress. Basically,
Yeah,
summing it up, both boys, heavy, stressful situation. Insert a mama that is really, really practicing what she preaches right now. Right? Like, whoa. That's a lot. It's a
yeah, and I
lot.
think it's so interesting that my eldest actually has dyslexia, and he's the one that triggers me most. But what I also know is that the triggers that he or the triggers he brings in me are the things that I need to heal. And I think that's again something really important for mothers to understand, that if we can see them as opportunities to work through whatever emotion comes up in that trigger, rather than to suppress it and to either fight, freeze, fawn, all of those things. It That's where the growth comes, both for us as a parent and for our child.
Yep. Yep. I think it's profound, and I know because I've practiced this way of parenting. I've practiced this way of parenting, I would say, for the past, Jake is 16, 18 years. It didn't start that way. You know my beautiful daughter very well. She's 25, and I would say I tell everybody she's my test baby. She came into the earth plane when I was 20. Saved my life in many ways that I probably still can't even tell you. And she and we raised each other, so to speak. When Jake came along, I knew I could offer something in a different way. She taught me so freaking much about myself that I was able to really show up for Jacob and my twins in a completely different way. And I know that the relationship that I have with my children, just like the relationship you have with your boys, is very different. It is very much based on parenting them, yes, but also, yes, being their friend. I am not afraid to admit that. I want to be my child's friend. I want that friendship level to be something that's there so that they feel comfortable coming to me and conversating about things, rather than feeling like the disciplinary that often comes under the headline of parent. If I tell her this, she's going to discipline me, and I don't want to be disciplined, so I'm not going to talk about it. I feel we can come from a different approach where it doesn't always have to be discipline. It can actually be a learning experience that expands their awareness, expands their consciousness, because this isn't something they did specifically to be hurtful or manipulative or defiant, And like you said, a lot of what goes on between the exchange, the energy between your child and yourself, it is triggering something within you. A note that you are exhausted, a note that it, feels really hard to express yourself in this moment. Parents yell because they don't feel heard by their child or by those around them. But you can have a way more impactful experience if we sit our children down and we say, listen, this form of communication, you being defiant or you being vulgar or you being disrespectful, doesn't get either one of us in a space where we understand each other, in a space where you get what you want, I get what I want. Like that, this isn't how we go about this situation. Here's a different way of doing it. That's what our leadership's there for, is to show them how to communicate effectively, how to show up effectively, to where it's not just about getting what you want, but it is about thriving in life. That's what we're here for. And when we are raising consciously tuned in children, they're less apt to be bullied or bullies at school because they understand what's going on. They're less apt to mask their emotions with drugs or sex or alcohol or food because they understand that it's normal to have these emotions and that there is some place that they can go to be supported, right? And so I know in the work that you do, you're watching these facts. I'm using air quotes because I don't know the other word for it. The evidence, thank you. Guides are like, just ask. You're seeing the evidence of this conversation play out in your everyday as you help these moms, as you raise your boys, and now as you're moving yourself into, very proud friend moment, by the way, spaces where you're supporting charities, you're supporting local foundations, you're supporting local schools, and I just think that this is profound.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think the other thing that is really important for me is that for a long, long time, I saw my illness as me being a victim to it. And the more I've worked on myself, the more I realize it's a gift, that I was the one who was gifted this illness because universe, God, whatever people believed that I was the one to work through it and to change that generational pattern for my children.
And not just that, but remember that we also were children and we were teaching our parents as well. And, you know, I can imagine that it was rough on your mom when no answers were coming in, or when we feel like we have the answer by a professional and our child is still not showing any shift or change. I remember when Loren was small, she was 4, and she came down with Kawasaki's. And it's a very rare childhood condition where there's inflammation buildup around the heart. At any time, she could have had a heart attack. At 4 years old, she could have had an aneurysm. Like, it was serious. And I kept going back, and I kept going back, and I kept going back. You know, oh, it's just roseola on her cheeks. Oh, it's just, you know, this virus that she had. All of it. And I finally sat in the doctor's office and said, I'm not leaving until you know exactly what's going on. And thank God, because that's when everything came through. Our hospital, which is a teaching hospital for residents, created an entire program because of her. Because that's how rare, only 1 in 500,000 children get it, and primarily it's in boys. So for her, you know what I mean? Like, I remember advocating and advocating and advocating and advocating and advocating. I was exhausted. You know, something's just not right. You know your kid. But what it taught me about myself, I can imagine your mom felt very similarly to your experience, and knowing something wasn't, I don't want to say right with you, but something wasn't okay with what you were going through. And it's heartbreaking when we know and we can't figure that out, you know?
Yeah, and I think, yeah, she absolutely did. And I think, you know, she probably still, I know she does still feel that she did something wrong. And I think that's a really important thing to make mums aware of. You know, if you've got an SEN child, if you've got a child who's struggling at school, none of it is your fault. It's all a teaching moment, however hard you think it is. And the fact that you will, like you and my mum and I, for my son who's got dyslexia, we all go to the nth degree to support our children, and we know that something is wrong, and that is intuition at its best. When mums tell me they don't have intuition, they absolutely do.
We all do. We have that foresight of knowledge as women. Oh, jeepers creepers. That, like, nothing hurts my heart. You know me well. Nothing hurts my heart more than when someone says, I don't think I'm intuitive. I don't feel I have healing power, and I don't believe I'm psychic. Like, bananas over here. Bananas. Because that nothing is so far from that truth. You know what I mean? Because we all have that. We all have that. And if we would learn to trust ourselves, if we were raised by conscious parents to trust ourselves, this would be rampant. We would have it active, and we would be lasered into that ability and that awareness.
Yeah, and it's also learning about the limiting beliefs and releasing those and creating more empowering statements, using the body to notice where things are tense, tight, anything like that. We are at our heart pure love, and if anything other than that is present, then there is some healing to do, and every step we take brings us closer to that true person that we were born to be. And it's just amazing when mums tap into her and realize, oh, that's who I am.
Absolutely. Now, I want to cover something and maybe be a little controversial. We're going to push our little needle a little far and that's okay because I'm prepared for it, and your guides would never bring it forward if it wasn't something you were ready for as well. So I want to ask you this. Right now, we are feeling energy moving in our collective in a way that probably has never been felt before. And we have generations coming to form. I would say the last few generations is where it started, and continues with the ones that are coming to form, Earth plane now. Children that are coming that are very highly sensitive, very highly in touch with spirit and self, and they are here to shift the trajectory of the way that we as humans engage with one another, engage with our planet. They take us to the next level. One of the things that I have been channeling on as I have worked on my new modality, which you and I have chatted about in the past, one of the things that has been coming in is that when there's a growth of light, when there's an expansion of light, or as you put it, love, there's also an expansion of dark, or as we would say, heavier energy, right, to balance things out. And so as these sensitive ones are coming forward to parents that may still have this old conditioning and programming happening, it may look like these are children that are struggling with some sort of autism, ADHD, highly sensitive experiences. I will admit that I probably don't know a lot of the terminology, but they are being medicated. And I would never, and I know Rachel stands behind this, we would never, ever, ever try and go against medical professionals. Like, I want you to always use your discernment, trust your medical professionals, but I really do want to call it out. I feel that there are a lot of children that are being numbed with their sensitivity by things because we don't understand it yet. I know that you work with a range of children with special needs, with behavioral situations happening. And you've got moms that are at their wits' end, one, because they're tired, two, because they do not understand what's going on. How are you navigating that? And like, where are you with that understanding or with that idea? How do you feel about that?
When I've worked with special needs children, I've always had, don't know, it's not an affinity, but I have a huge awareness of how amazing they are as individual beings. And I think, as you said, they are a different, they are a higher being. And again, they are here to teach us things that we're ready to learn. But I also feel when I've worked with them, what I tend to do is find their interests, find the things that they love to do, and create activities based around those. We have to approach them in ways that are familiar to them, not in ways that are normal to us. And in fact, it's like every child, a lot of what I do is getting them to be involved. And there's a famous quote, I can't remember who it's by, where it says, "Tell me and I'll forget, teach me and I'll remember, involve me," or that one. I can't remember it all, but getting children involved, and I learnt this from my PGCE, my education degree. That is when they learn most. And if you can make it so that it's familiar to them, so that they love it, then they will learn much more easily. Yeah, so I mean, an example was that I had an autistic child. She was amazing, but she struggled to eat, and I used my monsters and created a poem about how this monster, it was the red one, which is linked to our root chakra, which is all about vitality and stuff. And I created a poem about how he was struggling to eat and what he did to start eating again. And it really resonated with her, and she started to eat. And it's things like that that are just, I mean, I love it. It brings out the creativity in me,
It sure
and
does.
to see the children smile when they've had so much weight on their back for so long is just the greatest gift ever.
It is, and it is the invitation for parents that are still not sure what to do or how to approach their situation. It gives them a way of seeing, from the outside looking in, that there is a way to connect with their child, that there is a way to support what they're moving through and to understand it. I think at the end of the day, it's about the understanding. And the thing that those listening to this podcast, they're going to understand that it isn't about sweeping things under the carpet or just throwing, a vitamin, a mineral, or a medication at something. Really taking the time to read the energy, to understand the energy, and learning how you can work with the energy is going to be massively successful. Massively successful. Otherwise, we have we have a tendency to really have more trauma being created. We have a tendency to have more, disconnection taking place, and that doesn't serve anybody. And that's not the purpose of all of this is either, right? So, I love the work that you do. I think you have the patience of a saint, 100%. Because I think that there's a lot of parents that, despite their best effort to consciously parent, this is where self-love and self-care has to come in. A conscious parent is also one that's tuned in, tapped, and turned on to their own needs, and they're not afraid to meet them. In order to overflow for your child, we have to actually fill our cup, and that means we have to take time away. We have to find those moments of creativity like you're explaining, because that's really what is going to make all the difference in our world. And I really feel when we bring our children into it, it just bonds. The bond is just, your children chose you to be their mom. They knew that you would know what to do. They knew that you would give them the most amazing earthbound experience. And they knew that where you are in this moment right now, where you find yourself, is exactly where you need to be, and exactly for them as well, what needs to be unfolding. And so take that deep breath and unpack that backpack you've been carrying, and definitely connect with my friend Rachel, because she can show you how to do that. She can show you what it feels like and looks like to really let go of the expectation that you're putting on yourself to be perfect or to, get it all right, and really a fun, amazing way to connect with your child, so that you both understand each other and you both have more fun, right? Because kids, they need fun. We need fun. They need fun. They're here to teach us that.
Yeah, and I saw a brilliant quote today, that if you're exhausted, it may not be because you're doing too much. It may be because you're not doing what lights you up. And I think that's so important for mums to take on board.
Absolutely, 100%. And you know what? Own it. You get to. You get to be mom. You get to be wife. You get to be an entrepreneur. You get to be a spiritual being having a human experience. That's what you get to be. You get to wear all the hats. I think sometimes we expect women to just drop it then. You know what I mean? If it's too much, just drop it. No, you get to do all these things, but you get to do it from an energy of capacity, not an energy of depletion, right? And so bringing in God force and God sourced people like Rachel, to support you with the way that you're navigating your world and the way that you're navigating the world with your child is going to be profound. So, Rachel, where can people come and find you? Where do you hang out most? Are you on a
um,
Instagram?
well, both Facebook and Instagram. So I'm just Rachel Brown on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group called the Conscious Motherhood Collective, And I also have an Instagram page, which is underscore Rachel E. Brown underscore.
And I know that you've been working, and I've been watching you and tuning into the energy around, I like to take my sneaky peek of what you've been working on. You've been working on an amazing course. It's self-study, is it not?
Yeah.
And what's the focus behind that? How is that supporting women and moms right now?
So it's called Rise of the Regulated Mother, and it's all about rediscovering yourself, about breaking those cycles and being able to thrive so your children can also thrive. And it works across the 5 levels of healing. So many courses that I've seen may work with mindset, or they may work with the body, or support behavioral issues, but this, we need all 5 levels in order to heal. And so we work on the physical, which is soften your body, the S in my shift method, to calm the nervous system down, to do stress management techniques. And then we've got heal the heart, which is generational and emotional healing, so the H in shift. And this is really important. It's about looking at those emotions that we picked up as a child. It's about releasing emotions that no longer serve us and pulling in more positive emotions. We've got a I, influence the mind, the mental healing, and that's about uncovering those beliefs which are keeping us stuck in the moment, and changing them to more empowering beliefs that we can embody and allow ourselves to move forward. Then we've got free the energy, the energetic healing, which is one of the most important, I think. Everything is energy, and if we don't release the energy of those emotions and beliefs that we've picked up over the years, as well as the emotions and energy of our children, of places we've been, people we've met, then it just remains stagnant. And so it's about releasing that energy, pulling in positive energy, but also creating energetic boundaries for ourselves. And the last one is trust the soul, which is spiritual healing. And you don't have to be religious for spiritual healing. It's very much about reconnecting to yourself, to your truth. And so all of that is combined. It's a 12-week course. It's evergreen, so there's 12 videos, but each week I also have a live Q&A, deeper coaching session wherever you are in the course, so that you can bring your questions and reflections and all of that. So yes.
Oh my gosh. It's everything. It's everything. It's everything. And it's really going to start, you know, well, I'm not going to say it for you. Is this a course that's for advanced people that have awareness around all of this? Or does this course address moms that are just coming into the conscious parenting awareness, moms that might have toddlers or moms that have teenagers? Like, who is this course for?
Yeah, for I mean, for anyone, but it I wouldn't say it goes back to basics, but it is, you know,
It's going to cover it for sure.
yeah, how it starts with the sensations we have in the body, and just making you aware of how your body feels in order for you to work out what's going on at a deeper level. And it takes you through week by week. It builds layer upon layer so that you can work through and find that happiness, that lust for life, all of that. And because it's an evergreen, it means that you can go back to these layers at any point in any time. You've got lifetime access. So
And that's amazing because your child is going to grow and move through experiences. You're going to grow and expand and move through experiences, and being able to come back. All my courses are there for people to go back to at any time. They, lifetime access. because it might hit you in one way today. And for you, you might have a toddler and you're learning how to use this at the toddler level, right? But then you've got your teenager before you know it, and you got to go back and learn how to actually work this whole thing from a new perspective because they're so different, right? And so I love that you offer that. I think that right there is priceless. That right there is worth the investment to be able to have that, in your back pocket to use throughout wherever you are in your motherhood journey or in your journey period, right? Um, and we're going to make sure that we have links so that everybody can go down and learn more about this incredible course. All moms need to take it. All women need to take it because it's really going to, I know without a doubt that it's going to help you connect those dots of like why and where and how and what do I do. And so I encourage everybody to go and learn all you can from this, Rachel. Go connect with her on Instagram. Go find her on Facebook. Her amazing community is always engaging. There's lots of like-minded moms in there from different levels, and this is where you can be heard and seen in a very loving space. And then, of course, you've got this beautiful course that they can check out as well. Man, you're just killing it. Killing it. I love it. Awesome, Rachel. Any closing thoughts?
Just for mums to remember that they are amazing, that you are doing the best you can with the information that you have, and to never berate yourself. I mean, you will berate yourself, but to see it as an opportunity to grow and not to get cross with yourself, and even if you get cross with yourself, then see that as an opportunity to grow. So just remember, you are amazing as you already are.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited. All right, friends, that is a wrap. That is another amazing episode of The Sovereign Soul with me, Jacqueline Hopper. You can always, always, always learn more at jacquelinehopper.com. You can find me as well on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on all of the places. If you're tuning in on YouTube, make sure you like and follow this page so that you can get so much more love from the Sovereign Soul podcast. I will see you all again next week. Have a great rest of your week ahead. Bye.